The story begins with an old race car named Herbie, once considered the best of its time. Herbie and its owner shared an unbreakable bond and could navigate even the toughest terrains with ease. However, after a terrible accident, Herbie's performance declined drastically, and it began losing every competition. Eventually, its owner, disheartened by the losses, decided to send Herbie to the junkyard. There, Herbie met the junkyard owner, Dave, but instantly disliked him. When Dave tried to handle Herbie roughly, the truck driver warned him not to disrespect the car, as Herbie couldn't tolerate being humiliated. As Dave tried to unload Herbie from the truck, Herbie retaliated by spilling petrol on his shoes. The driver gave Herbie a push from behind, and Dave attempted to drag it with chains. Herbie resisted, refusing to move, but upon spotting an exit, it made a run for it. Unfortunately, its tires got caught in iron spikes and were punctured. Unable to move further, Herbie was forced to remain in the junkyard with the other abandoned cars. Herbie knew in its heart that soon, like the others, it would be crushed and forgotten. A few weeks later, we are introduced to a girl named Maggie Payton, who arrives at her graduation on a skateboard. Her father is extremely proud of her, as Maggie is the first girl in their family to graduate, clearly a family that doesn't focus much on academics. Maggie's father is a rare race car coach, and he invites her to watch her brother Ray Jr.'s race. When they arrive at the racetrack, they meet Ray Jr.'s sponsor, Sally. As usual, Ray Jr. ends up crashing his car while trying to show off his moves. The truth was, Ray Jr. was preparing for a professional racing competition, but the problem was, he didn't actually have the talent for racing. Later, when Maggie returns home, she notices the paintings on the wall, which remind her of her grandfather, one of the best racers of his time. Inspired by him, Maggie had started racing at the age of 15. Just like her grandfather, she dreamed of making a name for herself in the racing world. However, everything changed the day Maggie met with a terrible accident. After that incident, her father strictly forbade her from racing ever again. Soon after, Maggie's father told her that they would go the next morning to buy her a graduation gift. The next day, Maggie and Ray arrived at the junkyard so Maggie could pick a car of her choice. At that moment, Herbie spotted Maggie and immediately decided that it wanted to go home with her. Herbie tried to move toward her, but since it didn't have a rear tire, it couldn't move at all. Just then, Herbie was lifted to be crushed. In a desperate attempt to save itself, Herbie started honking loudly to grab Maggie's attention. However, Maggie had already set her eyes on a Nissan parked right in front of Herbie and was about to make the deal with Dave. At the last moment, Herbie broke free from the crane and fell right on top of the Nissan, completely destroying it. Left with no other choice, Maggie decided to buy Herbie instead. After bringing Herbie home, Ray did some minor repairs and told Maggie to take the car to Kevin's garage. When Maggie sat inside Herbie, a letter slipped out from the dashboard. It was from Herbie's previous owner, asking her to take good care of the car. But the moment Maggie started the engine, Herbie came to life and began driving wildly on its own. Maggie was terrified and completely caught off guard. Maggie headed straight to Kevin's garage. She was meeting her old school friend Kevin after many years. Kevin had liked Maggie since their school days, but he had never gathered the courage to tell her how he felt. He agreed to repair Herbie but mentioned that he would first need to take it for a test drive. When Maggie and Kevin went out for the drive, Herbie began emitting a lot of smoke on the road. Frustrated by the car's condition, Maggie decided to return it, but Herbie had no intention of letting that happen. It lifted its front tires and took off, speeding out of Maggie's control. Eventually, they ended up at a sports car museum, where Maggie ran into her old classmate, Trip. Trip was now a Next Cup champion, and a crowd had gathered to see him. Meanwhile, Herbie kept honking repeatedly. To stop the noise, Maggie opened the hood, but Herbie sprayed petrol on her clothes, ruining them. Just then, Kevin found a racing suit and helmet in the trunk, so Maggie put them on. When Trip saw Maggie's beat-up car, he laughed and mockingly told her to take it back to the circus. This insult angered Herbie, and in response, it scratched Trip's car with its side mirror. Seeing this, Trip was furious, and the crowd around them suggested that the matter should be settled with a race. Maggie stepped out of the car and tried to apologize to Trip, but Herbie had other plans. It locked all the doors and windows on its own and sped straight to the track. Herbie quickly shifted into gear, and the race began. Maggie tried to regain control, but Herbie was completely out of hand. Despite having old and worn-out parts, Herbie caught up with Trip's car. Trip tried to knock them off the track by bumping into them, which finally made Maggie angry too. She decided she wouldn't back down and would beat Trip. Instead of trying to stop Herbie, Maggie chose to work with it. Together, they caught up to Trip once more. Trip tried to ram them again, but this time, Herbie cleverly spun around and avoided the hit, leaving Trip stunned. As they neared the finish line, Herbie pulled a surprise move by climbing onto the side safety barrier and, with a burst of speed, crossed the finish line just ahead of Tripp, winning the race. Tripp was left fuming, humiliated by losing to what he had called a junk car. Later, Maggie returned to the garage and told Kevin, smiling, that it wasn't her who won the race. It was all Herbie. Kevin didn't pay much attention to what Maggie said and simply congratulated her on the win. The most surprising part was that Maggie had defeated a Next Cup champion while driving a 1963 car. The next morning, Maggie saw her father and brother arguing. Due to Ray Jr.'s poor performance, they had just lost another sponsor. At that moment, Sally arrived at their house in her yellow Beetle, and the moment Herbie saw her car, he fell in love. Meanwhile, Sally showed Ray a video of the previous day's race, and he was shocked to see that Maggie had won with that rundown car. But instead of being impressed, he was angry that Maggie raced despite his clear warning not to. To calm him down, Maggie lied and said that it wasn't her driving the car, but her friend Max. She then decided to continue racing under Max's name to avoid further conflict. On the other side, Tripp was extremely frustrated by his loss. His manager, Larry, tried to console him, saying it was just a casual race and didn't matter. But Tripp's ego was bruised, and he couldn't accept defeat so easily. Determined to reclaim his pride, he announced he wanted a rematch and instructed his team to organize a 2-day race event, knowing that Max, who was actually Maggie, would surely show up. Meanwhile, Maggie went to Kevin's garage, where he showed her his latest project. Kevin revealed his new project, explaining that he wanted to transform Herbie into a proper race car for Maggie. However, Maggie hesitated and told him she couldn't race anymore. Years ago, after her accident, she had promised her father she would never race again. Just then, Herbie noticed a newspaper ad about a racing competition offering a $100 prize to the winner. As Maggie sat in the car, Herbie cleverly moved its hood, making the newspaper fly up and land right on the windshield. When Maggie saw the prize amount, she realized it could cover her travel expenses to New York. Kevin then offered to repair Herbie for free if Maggie agreed to participate in the race. He added that if she won, they could split the prize money. Though Maggie was still afraid, she eventually agreed to race. Together, she and Kevin began working on transforming Herbie into a competitive race car. They cleaned it thoroughly, replaced some parts, and even added a sunroof. Meanwhile, on the other side, Tripp and his friend Crash were busy trying to unravel the mystery behind Herbie. Tripp was determined to find out what kind of engine was under Herbie's hood, something powerful enough to defeat his own high-end supercar. That night, Maggie overheard a conversation between Ray and Sally. Sally mentioned that rumors were spreading about their last remaining investor pulling out. Hearing this, Maggie made up her mind. She would win the upcoming race no matter what and claim the prize money. Finally, race day arrived, and Tripp was stunned to see Herbie's brand new, upgraded look. Curious, he asked Maggie how she had met Max. Maggie tried to dodge the question and distract him, but Kevin showed up just in time to defuse the situation. Soon, the first round of the race began with several cars competing, but there could only be one winner. The announcer declared that whoever won today's race would face Tripp's car the next day, and if they defeated Tripp as well, they would take home the $100 prize. The race kicked off, and Herbie, with its impressive power and agility, left all the other cars behind to win the race. Now, Herbie was set to face Tripp's car in the final showdown. That evening, while Tripp was watching a replay of the race, he noticed red hair peeking out from Max's helmet, and realized that Max was actually Maggie. Meanwhile, Herbie once again found himself drawn toward the yellow Beetle, instantly smitten all over again. When Maggie saw Herbie, she quickly realized that he had a mind of his own, and she would have to accept him just the way he was. To wish her good luck, Kevin gifted her a necklace, and as the two were about to share a kiss, Tripp suddenly switched on his headlights, interrupting the moment and walking up to them. He asked Kevin for a moment alone with Maggie. Once Kevin left, Tripp questioned Maggie about why she never raced with her own car. He shared that he had started racing after being inspired by her grandfather. Then, offering her a chance to feel what a real race was like, he handed over the keys to his car, which made Maggie extremely happy. Watching Maggie get into another car made Herbie very jealous. As Maggie drove off in the supercar, Tripp saw an opportunity to check Herbie's engine. However, Herbie wasn't going to let it slide. He sprayed fuel on Tripp's face and slammed the hood on his head. Enraged, Tripp pulled a hammer from his toolbox and began attacking Herbie, but Herbie had made himself so tough that not even a scratch appeared. When Tripp turned away for a moment, Herbie mockingly made funny faces at him, taunting him in his own quirky way. Within moments, Maggie returned from the drive and excitedly said it was the best drive of her life. Seeing her enthusiasm, Tripp proposed a deal. Whoever won the race the next day would get $100 in the loser's car. Maggie was hesitant at first, but then she thought about her father's financial situation and agreed to the bet. She knew Tripp's car was expensive and selling it could help her support her dad. Plus, She had full faith that with Herbie by her side, she could win the race. However, when Herbie realized that Maggie had bet on him, he felt deeply hurt. The next morning, Maggie woke up and found her friend Charisma in the kitchen. Charisma suggested they should head to New York early, but Maggie told her about the race competition she had to attend that day. She invited Charisma to come along, and the two of them headed to Kevin's garage. There, Kevin told them that Herbie had been behaving strangely. He asked Maggie to talk to the car, but when Maggie angrily told Herbie to obey her, Herbie became even more upset. Eventually, it was time for the race, and both Herbie and Tripp's car lined up, ready for the big showdown. As soon as the race began, Herbie surged forward with speed, but Tripp's car kept overtaking him again and again. Just as they were about to reach the finish line, Herbie suddenly hit the brakes and intentionally lost the race. At that moment, Maggie stepped out of the car, and Tripp challenged her to reveal her true identity in front of everyone. When she removed her helmet, the crowd was stunned to see her face. Her father, Ray, who was present there, also saw her. Furious over Herbie's loss, Maggie couldn't hold back her anger, so Kevin stepped in to calm her down and suggested they leave with Herbie. Just then, Tripp appeared again and mentioned a new bet. After that, he took possession of Herbie, which enraged Kevin, causing him to storm off. Ray then approached Maggie and expressed his disappointment, saying she had done nothing but lie to him. Maggie tried to explain her side, but he refused to listen. Troubled by everything that had happened, Maggie decided to leave for New York that very day with Charisma. However, Charisma encouraged her not to let her racing talent go to waste. She reminded Maggie of her passion and potential, making her reconsider. Eventually, Maggie realized the truth in her friend's words and decided to get Herbie back from Tripp. But when she confronted Tripp, he told her that his friend Crash had already taken Herbie out for a drive. But the truth was that Herbie had landed in a monster truck competition, where it was about to be completely destroyed. As soon as the show started, several massive vehicles began crashing into Herbie all at once. Seeing this, Maggie immediately ran to help, but the security guards blocked her way. She rushed to the owner of the venue and pleaded to buy her car back. The old man told her, "If that car comes back in one piece, you can take it for free." At that moment, a monstrous truck approached, ready to crush Herbie. Just then, Charisma distracted the security guards, giving Maggie the chance to sneak into the arena. Now, she had to dodge the massive vehicles to reach Herbie. As soon as Herbie saw Maggie, it lit up with joy. It saw a ray of hope. But right then, a monster truck was about to fall on Maggie. In the nick of time, Herbie slid under her and pulled her inside through the sunroof, saving her life. After that, Herbie forcefully threw Crash out of the driver's seat, and Maggie and Herbie began trying to escape together. Herbie skillfully dodged every vehicle in its path, but then the monster truck approached from behind, ready to crush them. Thinking quickly, Herbie climbed onto another car, leapt into the air, and landed straight on top of the monster truck, turning the tables in epic fashion. After defeating all the vehicles, Maggie took Herbie straight to Kevin's workshop. Kevin was shocked to see the condition Herbie was in, but without hesitation, he got to work repairing him. The next day, Maggie and Kevin went to watch Ray Jr. participate in his race. Unfortunately, he met with another accident. When he was taken to the hospital, the doctors discovered that he was having trouble seeing with his left eye. The doctor firmly stated that Ray Jr. absolutely could not participate in Sunday's race. Hearing this, Ray Jr. suggested to his father that Maggie should take his place in the race, but Ray outright refused the idea. Maggie then spoke up, telling her father that it had always been her dream to become a racer. She asked him why he had never allowed her to race after just one accident, while Ray Jr. had been given chance after chance despite multiple crashes. Getting emotional, Ray admitted that she reminded him of her mother, and he had already lost her once. He didn't want to lose Maggie too. Meanwhile, Kevin was struggling to repair Herbie because he needed a few parts. But when he contacted his supplier, he was told he wouldn't receive any new parts until he cleared his old dues. Just then, Ray Jr. arrived and officially asked Maggie to take his place in the NASCAR competition. But Maggie made it clear that she would only participate in the race with Herbie. Hearing this, her brother called in his entire team to help repair Herbie. In no time, they all worked together to restore Herbie to top condition, giving him a fresh new look with a bright paint job. On Sunday, when Tripp arrived at the NASCAR competition stadium, he was stunned to see Herbie there. He asked Crash why Herbie hadn't been destroyed as he had instructed. Just then, Larry informed Tripp that Crash had gotten a new ad contract. But at that moment, none of it mattered to Tripp. He was only focused on the race ahead. Before the race began, Maggie had a heartfelt conversation with Herbie and apologized to him. They promised to work as a team, and together they rolled out onto the track. All eyes were on them. Meanwhile, Ray, watching Maggie on TV, became extremely anxious. He never wanted to see her in such danger. Back on the track, all the racers swapped out their steering wheels and took their test drives for warm-up. As soon as the race began, most of the cars sped ahead swiftly, while Herbie and Maggie were left behind. But soon enough, they picked up speed and started catching up. At the same time, Ray decided to go to the stadium himself to watch his daughter race. On the track, Tripp was leading the race, but Herbie quickly closed the gap. Just then, the other cars surrounded them, leaving Maggie with no space to move ahead. Just then, Maggie heard her father's voice cheering her on, telling her that she had everything it takes to win the race. His words filled her with renewed energy and confidence. She pushed through and managed to escape the tight cluster of cars surrounding her. But a new problem arose. Herbie's fuel tank had started leaking, and without fixing it, there was no way they could finish the race. During a pit stop, the mechanics quickly repaired the leak, but warned Maggie that Herbie was now in a fragile state. One more hit, and the race would be over for them. The race resumed, and this time Maggie and Herbie were right beside Tripp, racing neck and neck, just moments away from the finish line. Tripp tried to ram Herbie off the track, and in the process, the sticker covering Herbie's fuel tank came off. Tripp attempted to hit Herbie again, but Maggie smartly hit the brakes at the last second, causing Tripp's car to crash straight into the wall. Herbie then pulled off a stunning move, climbing onto the side fence and leaping ahead in a daring stunt to overtake all the remaining cars. Finally, Maggie and Herbie won the race, making Maggie the first female champion in NASCAR history. She celebrated her victory with her family and friends, while Tripp, furious and defeated, could only shout in disbelief that the car was haunted.